Good morning, students. I gave you the introduction of human respiratory system. Respiration is another life process which is very important for our survival. What is the passage of the air? How the air goes inside the lungs, and what is the passage? What is the route it follows? So we inhale air through our nostrils, then it goes to nasal passage, then it goes to pharynx, which is the common passage for air, water and food. Then it comes to larynx, then trachea. How to remember pharynx, larynx, trachea? By PLT, mnemonic per letter. Pharynx, larynx and trachea. I have given you the introduction earlier also. Then after trachea, which is called windpipe, it goes to the lungs. When trachea divides into two bronchi. Bronchi is plural, bronchus is singular. You can see the trachea divides into two and now it is called bronchi. When you have to say bronchus, then it means it is singular. So this one is trachea, it divides into two. Now these two are bronchi, singular, bronchus. Then it enters to the lungs, the main respiratory organ. Lung is the main respiratory organ, that's why our type of respiration is pulmonary. Okay, then these bronchus divide into bronchioles and ultimately they terminate into alveolar sacs or alveoli. Alveoli is plural, alveolus is singular. So plural and singular will be there, so don't get confused. Sometimes you will read it is bronchi, sometimes bronchus. So it's all matter of singular and plural. Once again I am repeating, bronchi plural, bronchus singular, and alveoli plural, alveolus singular. Now it terminates into bunch of grape like structure. So this is the passage of the oxygen, how it enters inside the lungs. If it is now the carbon dioxide which is produced, and carbon dioxide also follows the same route, reverse, U-bend now. Like from alveolus it will come to bronchioles, from bronchioles it will come to bronchi, then it will move out of the lungs, it will come to trachea, then larynx, then pharynx, then nasal passage, and then it will come out of the nose. So this is the route of carbon dioxide. Blue color is showing oxygen and this pink color is showing how the carbon dioxide is coming out. So carbon dioxide is the gaseous waste which is produced when the food gets oxidized, means oxidation of food happens, and that happens in the cell. Now the first topic we have already discussed, what happens when the air enters the nasal cavity. It gets warm, filtered and moist. It gets warm, filtered and moist. Then it comes to the common passage. This pharynx you will see in digestive system as well as in respiratory system. Please watch the previous video once again. Then it comes to larynx. Larynx is called the voice box. When food enters to the larynx, larynx has a hole or an opening which is known as glottis, like this. This glottis has a cover over it which is called epiglottis, a leaf like, flap like cartilage cover which is there. So whenever we are swallowing the food, that time the epiglottis, that flap, covers this hole, that is glottis. So you must have observed when you swallow the food, that time you can't breathe, because for that time being this epiglottis covers the glottis. So you can do this activity. Just imagine that you are swallowing the food. So while swallowing the food, that time you must have observed that you can't breathe during that time. No, you can't have that kind of oxygen entering inside your body. Now come to the next very important topic, that is windpipe called trachea. It has rings of cartilage. Rings of cartilage. This is the windpipe having rings of cartilage just to give it the strength. For example, if during forceful exhalation, when you are exhaling out, so and there is no air which is present here, so otherwise it will collapse. So these rings of cartilage helps the windpipe not to collapse even when there is no air in it. So trachea again divides into two when it enters the lung, and these are called two bronchi. Each bronchus, now you can see how I have written each bronchus divides into a network of bronchioles. Then these, when they enter inside the lungs, they divide into bronchioles. So this one is trachea divides into bronchus divides into bronchioles, and each bronchioles end up into a bunch of grape like structure called alveolus, singular, alveoli plural. Again I am repeating, this is trachea which is having cartilage rings just to give it strength, so that whenever there is no air in it, it does not collapse. Otherwise, if these rings of cartilage are not there, it will collapse like this, and we will feel suffocating. Then this trachea divides into two bronchi and they enter the lungs. This is the lungs, and inside the lungs these bronchus divide and redivide many times into bronchioles, and every bronchiole end up as a bunch of grape like structure which is known as alveolus. Now we will discuss about alveolar sac or alveolus. These are thin walled sacs. Sacs means bag like structures present in lungs. It looks like a bunch of grapes and surrounded by network of capillaries. Alveolar sac is a place for exchange of gases. Very important point, this one. Sometimes it comes as a one-liner. Name the place or the site in the human respiratory system which is important for exchange of gases. So this exchange of gases happens in alveolar sac. For example, this is the alveolus, a bunch of grape-like structure, and its wall is considered to be very thin. Why? So that easy exchange of gases happen. Now you will be wondering what is exchange of gases. So I will show you that this alveolus is surrounded by the blood capillaries. I have just magnified that image of alveolus only. So this is also surrounded by the blood capillary. Blood is having gaseous waste of our body, that is carbon dioxide, and this green structure, that is alveolus, it is having oxygen. So oxygen will be given to the blood, it will diffuse inside the blood, and carbon dioxide will be given to the alveolus. So this is called exchange of gases. That's why they are so close to each other. That's why the blood is surrounding, the blood vessel or capillaries are surrounding the alveolar sac, so that exchange can happen. You know what has come to the alveolus? Oxygen, because we have inhaled it, and you know the passage, how it has gone there. We have inhaled through the nostril, then it has gone to the nasal passage, then pharynx, larynx, trachea, palatal, then bronchus, then bronchioles, and ultimately to the alveolus. Okay, oxygen goes to the blood, and carbon dioxide which is present in the blood, because this blood capillary has brought it is a waste, gaseous waste. Now body wants to get rid of it, so it will go to the alveolus. Now carbon dioxide will follow that U-turn again, and oxygen will be there in the blood, and from here it will go to the cell. Cell is the destination for oxygen, and nostril is the destination for the carbon dioxide. So this is called exchange of gases, which happens in alveolar sac. An amazing fact about it is why it is having a bunch of grape-like structure, so that it can have large surface area. Why it is so thin? So that easy and faster exchange of gases may happen. Why it is richly supplied by the blood capillary? Again, because of easy exchange of gases, and blood is a natural transporter. It will transport the oxygen to the destination, that is cell. Now the lungs present in the chest cavity. Chest cavity is called thoracic cavity. Chest cavity is thoracic cavity. Then you have diaphragm, and below one more cavity is there, that is called abdominal cavity. And diaphragm divides thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. It is a partition, muscular partition between these two basically. For example, this is chest cavity, and below you have abdominal cavity, and in between you have the diaphragm, and your lungs are present, or respiratory system is present in the chest cavity, thoracic cavity. And as a partition between these two cavity, chest cavity and abdominal, you have diaphragm. Now lungs are covered by thin membrane known as pleura. Very important point, pleura. Lungs are having a thin covering outside them. This is called pleura. These are spongy elastic bags made up of bronchi, bronchioles and alveolar sac. You know what is there inside. Here this was trachea divided into bronchus, then bronchioles and alveoli. These are present in lungs, so they are part of lung only. Now diaphragm, it is a muscular partition that separates thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. When it is relaxed, it is dome shaped during relaxation, and on contraction it becomes flat, and it happens during inhalation. This we will study in detail in next topic, that is breathing, mechanism of breathing and what is the role of diaphragm. Thank you. Revise well.